Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, happy 52nd anniversary to the Nixon shock tomorrow, August 15th, 1971. Nixon ended the gold standard and froze prices for 90 days. I think it was extended a few times, so the 90-day price freeze, by the way. Fortunately, we're not stupid enough to do that this time around. I thought Biden was going to be stupid enough to do that, and I had kind of made some prep work for in the event of something like that. Fortunately, it never came. But I want to do some fortune telling for myself. This week, I got a number of big events going on. I have a meeting tomorrow and at work, and I have a difficult time with unexpected things that are said at meetings, right? So for example, I go into a performance review with my boss, and I expect certain things to be brought up. I'm prepared to respond to them, but something comes up that is totally out of nowhere. I just had a problem like that with one of my clients. I do private tutoring. And long story short, I got thrown off track. It also doesn't help that my client had some habits that I don't hang around very much. And I got thrown off. Had I taken it home to respond to him, it could have played out very differently. This is why I love remote work. A lot of times when I was having meetings on Zoom, I would start the meeting, I obviously use this very sparingly, but I would start off the meeting by apologizing and saying that I have a bad connection today. I apologize in advance if we get disconnected. And then a tricky question would come up, and conveniently my browser would disconnect. I would sit on the question 5, 10, 15 minutes, call my boss back, apologize, I'm having a lot of computer glitches, and then I would respond beautifully. I can't tell you how many times I did that during the pandemic. All right. Keep that life hack in mind in case COVID comes back, or if you're lucky enough to get a remote job outside of a pandemic, keep that in mind. I got a meeting tomorrow, and I know unexpected questions are going to come up. I'm trying to think of a good way to excuse myself. This is a face-to-face meeting. I'm going to try to think of a way to excuse myself when that happens. Maybe, hey, that's a good thought. I'll think about it. Let's come back to it. Well, it wouldn't have worked with my client. What had happened was, I had a client, a tutoring client, who was elderly, and he wanted to revamp his computer skills. I didn't realize it at the time, but he had a marijuana habit, like a good one. And he came to the tutoring high. I didn't realize it at the beginning. And the first time he came, it's kind of funny. I was expecting, he had emailed me on Facebook Marketplace saying he was interested in my tutoring, and he came and we basically started our first session. We never negotiated. I thought, when I was meeting up with him, I thought we were going to negotiate all the details, but we dived right in. And at the end of the session, he paid me an amount that was considerably lower than I was expecting. So I wanted to bring that up the second time. Second time he comes in, I said, I got to talk to you before we start. And I told him that, I've been tutoring for 15 years and counting, and this is less than when I made my first year. And I have since gotten my PhD, and it's been 15 years. So what do you think? Well, the only reason I hired you was because I thought it was this amount. I said, well, we didn't even talk about the amount. Where'd you get this amount from? I mean, you came and we were going to just talk about whether or not this is going to be a good fit, and we dived right in. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we never talked about this. Oh, I put it on my Facebook thing. Okay, well, I'm sorry we were mistaken then. And he went completely silent, and I said, well, you know what? Since, I know you're otherwise reliable and all that, but so how about if we, instead of doing it 1 hour for $25, we do it 2 hours at a time? Because, the biggest catch is I got to come here, right? I live a good 10 miles away. He says, oh, I didn't know you didn't have something here today, Why don't you let me know when you're here? it doesn't quite work that way, right? You want me to be punctual and reliable, right? I can't just arrange it like based on. Anyways, it turned out he was high anyhow, so all of that discussion went out the window, and I fired him as a client. But and that's where I run into trouble. I didn't expect it to play out like that. That's where I ran into trouble. I gotta talk to my boss tomorrow, and I hope I don't run into a situation just like that. Oh, I was only expecting to pay you this much. You know what? Why don't we come back to that later? I'm not in the frame of mind to be discussing that. How was my stuff? How was your observation of my teaching last month or whatever it was, right? That's what I'm going to be thinking of. The other thing I want to do at tomorrow's meeting is talk less and listen more. I was just negotiating. I didn't move to that place, but with a potential landlord, and I ran into some problems. I kept interrupting her by mistake. I would wait 5 seconds to see if she had anything more to say. I would start talking, but then she would talk at the same time. And I really kicked myself because she could have been wanting to give a concession or something. And I didn't wait long enough. So now I have to learn to wait and then wait some more and then some more maybe. I would hate to do that when my boss is about to give me extra vacation time, a raise, a good review, and I interrupt her, right? I would hate to be doing that. Now, the other two things going on in my life, besides the workplace, the negotiation, and the soft social skills, is that at the board game meetup where I go to, there's Putin's distant cousin. I like to call her Putin's ex because she disagrees with the politics of Putin. Unfortunately, she likes to drink. I mean, she's not a heavy drinker, but I don't drink, and I find that a big turn-off. Especially after a few drinks that she's talking a little bit too personal. And then at the college here, my coworker, she's a distant cousin of Mary Curry, and I'll have to think about seeing if she wants to go to the board game meetup with me. I'm leaning more toward the Mary Curry. I have a soft spot for Mary Curry's in my life because when I was in college, I was 16, 17 years old. I was eating a very atrocious diet. I was 20 or 30 pounds overweight, not significantly overweight. And the only reason I stopped drinking the soda, well, two reasons. One, it was the only thing that worked. When I tried to cut back on soda, it made me crave it that much more. That's one thing a lot of people cannot understand. At the beginning, my family was telling me an occasional soda is okay. They think it's a huge social turnoff that I'm not drinking soda. You know what? If what I'm eating turns people off, they deserve to be turned off. Friends need to accept friends for what they eat when it doesn't bother them, right? I knew that at a very young age. But the other reason I quit drinking the soda was because I wanted to lose weight, because there was a Mary Curry in the class, and I wanted to get to know her. I never really did much with her, but I did continue to stay off the soda for more than half of my life up to this point. So that's great. That's great. It's kind of funny because she doesn't know that she left behind such a great legacy for me, right? I almost want to say that if I hadn't run into her, I may not be alive today. I used to eat a very atrocious diet. A lot of my friends who had less bad diets than I did have since passed away, right? Okay, so the Mary Curry, the Putin. I'm programming an AI for a new game. Now it's called Uno Quattro, and it's a Connect 4 Uno hybrid. Uno is they're looking to hire somebody to play test some of their games, and I contacted them to see if they would be interested in a man versus machine kind of event. So hopefully something will turn of that. If not, it's still an interesting game to program and to maybe set up an event at the Computer Olympiad. Oh yeah, one more thing about my health. I recently recovered from long COVID. Well, not recently. It's been over a month now, which is good. and I had a significant mouth sore as well. Lately, every morning when I wake up and I realize that I have an appetite, I'm not wheezing my guts out, and my mouth isn't raw, and I can actually talk without having to hold my mouth every few seconds. Lately, I've been appreciating that. I had such good health for so many years that I kind of took it for granted, and these last couple of months have really humbled me. That good health is not something to take lightly. I'm going to draw some tiles from the Portal game to do some fortune telling. 3, that's a lucky number for me. 3 means a single individual being accepted by a couple. I deal with a lot of prejudices for being single. 2. 2. Well, at least we're not drawing 4s. 0. Wow. Maybe that means 0 inflation. Right. Death! 1 for Single Lives Matter. This is the Peter Dislike Show! Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show! Bum 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 bum.